Tonight, chaotic scenes at Port Lincoln Airport after a violent brawl broke out in the baggage collection area. And a group of young dancers from the Upper Spencer Gulf preparing to perform at Disneyland.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening. There were chaotic scenes at Port Lincoln Airport after a fight broke out in the baggage collection area. 4 people have since been arrested. Casey Trelaw has more.
It was behind me here at about 8:30 on Friday night when police were called to the scene of a violent brawl where one of the 4 people involved was allegedly armed with a weapon. Now an airport worker aged in his 70s was caught in the crossfire. He was struck in the head, requiring stitches. Police say a man and a woman from West Lakes flew in from Adelaide when 2 men from Port Lincoln allegedly started a verbal fight with them in the baggage collection area. One of the men then allegedly armed himself with a pickaxe handle.
During the course of the altercation, one male was struck to the upper body and head, and the female was also struck. An employee of the airport who intervened was also struck with the pickaxe handle by one of the males.
One male and the airport worker were treated at the Port Lincoln Hospital for facial injuries. However, police are still searching for the pickaxe handle, believed to be a fluorescent yellow and about 1.5 metres in length.
A 28-year-old male and a 21-year-old female from West Lake Shore have been arrested and are charged with affray, and a 26-year-old male and a 29-year-old male from Port Lincoln have been charged with aggravated affray and assault causing harm.
Police say all 4 people involved in the incident are known to each other. 2 of them were refused bail and appeared in court late this afternoon. The others will face court later next month.
While police have been kept busy busting meth labs, SAPOL figures show 4 labs have been discovered across the region since 2016. John Hunt has more.
Over the past 2 years, police and the state government have invested heavily in getting methamphetamines off the street to try and stop its spread. And police have been kept busy in this region, with a number of labs shut down around Whyalla. SAPOL figures provided to News Corp show 142 backyard labs were shut down by police in South Australia between 2016 and 2017. These labs produce drugs such as ice, which is currently the subject of a campaign from the government. It's a widespread issue, with labs found in metro and regional areas. And while police have been in the thick of the action according to the statistics, police have destroyed 4 labs in the region as they invest heavily in resources to slow the spread of illicit drugs. 3 were discovered in Whyalla and 1 at Iron Knob, about 50 kilometres west of Whyalla. Only 8 other areas in SA had seen the same amount or more labs raided. At a recent press conference following a raid in Whyalla, police firmly stated their no-tolerance approach to drugs in the community.
Controlled substances cause harm to the people taking them, but also harm to the community. We have a zero tolerance when we come across drugs in terms of removing it from the community.
So expect police to continue to clamp down on the production and trafficking of illicit substances. They also encourage people to anonymously report any suspicious activity by calling Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
An unlicensed Port Augusta driver has been caught behind the wheel at nearly 5 times the legal blood alcohol limit. It's alleged that the car carrying 4 passengers was stopped by police on Carlton Parade on Saturday, where the driver allegedly blew a reading of .245. The driver, who has never held a valid licence in South Australia, had his car immediately impounded for 28 days and is due to face court at a later date. Port Pirie police have arrested 4 people on arson charges following a fire at a unit on Thorn Street. Fire cause investigators attended the scene just after 8 o'clock yesterday morning and deemed the inferno deliberately lit. Investigators also found the unit had been broken into and damaged just before the blaze broke out. Police believe the residents and the accused are known to each other. The damage bill is estimated at $50,000. As Moving People Pirie reaches its final months, the organisation is calling on the state government to continue its funding. The program is proving to be a huge success for the region.
assisting people who fall through the transport holes. Moving People Piri educates locals about all of their transport options and helps them get from A to B.
Do the basics in life, to get to the doctors, to go shopping, to even go and have a coffee or go and see a friend.
In just 8 months, the service has already made hundreds of regional trips.
As at this time, it's been 506 trips that we have had since the start, and we have 24 people that are actually registered with us.
We've helped some people with special needs. The NDIS rollout is going to be another source of people who now have funding for transport but don't have the transport itself.
Midstate Hardware has just donated a vehicle to the pilot program, with more and more people volunteering to help get people moving within the community. But as funding for the one-year pilot program begins to dry up, it's hoped the government will recognise the importance of the scheme and continue to fund the program.
We've always hoped that this would be rolled out across more communities, so we can only hope that we've got the ear of government and that government will listen.
The program is set to wrap up in November. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Businesses owed hundreds of thousands of dollars by Ottaway Fabrication have gathered for the first creditors meeting in Whyalla. Representatives from Administrator Pitch Partners and former company CEO Stephen Young were in attendance. Ottaway went into administration on July 11, weeks after it sold its Whyalla workshop to Italian company Ferretti International. It's believed another meeting will be held in the coming weeks. Well, school's back, which means so are school zones. Students return to school across the state today after a fortnight break. It means crossings and 25 km/h zones are now in operation. Police Minister Corey Wingard says drivers need to pay extra attention around schools as children are prone to impulsive actions. SAPOL also conducted operations at a number of schools today. Still to come tonight, it's a dream come true for a group of young local dancers as they prepare to perform at Disneyland. It's nearly time for Port Pirie to turn pink in a bid to raise much needed funds for breast cancer research. Pink Up Port Pirie is happening soon and it's hoped local businesses will get involved.
Turning the whole town pink to raise awareness for breast cancer. Since 2016, Australia has raised over $300,000 through Pink Up Your Town, with all proceeds going to the McGrath Foundation. Now it's Port Pirie's turn to Pink Up.
Jane McGrath's vision was that no woman, no matter where she lived or how far away she was, would still have access to a breast care nurse.
Pink Up Port Pirie is happening all throughout October.
Our aim is in the month of October to Pink Up Port Pirie and hold events and raise community awareness also about the McGrath Foundation.
It's hoped all businesses in the CBD will get involved.
Hopefully they'll pink up their businesses and perhaps have money tins where people can donate. We're also aiming to hold a high tea. And we're also aiming to hold a function at a local tavern.
The McGrath Foundation continues to support women living with cancer in Port Pirie by providing psychological, emotional and physical support.
Helping them understand their diagnosis, what sort of treatment is going to be ahead and what it means for them, where they can find accommodation, transport, what support there is from the Cancer Council.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
It seems Port Lincoln is embracing a new wave of appreciation for live music. A number of events were hosted by a range of venues at the weekend, showcasing the very best local talent.
Port Lincoln getting behind live local music.
I guess we're just trying to foster some original bands and touring artists, and also giving local bands and artists an opportunity to play somewhere besides the pub scene, I guess.
So it's really good to see. We don't want live music to disappear, and be taken over by DJs. No.
Venues across Port Lincoln have been embracing a renewed support for live music, including the Port Lincoln Hotel, which hosted half a dozen live music acts, with many praising the support for younger musicians.
I think a lot of the hotels and the venues in Lincoln have really fostered young people.
Young kids are coming up and they're so talented, amazing. So I'm really excited about them.
There's also the newer venues in town that are hosting the more intimate live shows, which saw the return of the band Junior playing their original tunes.
Good to see people supporting in alternative venues as well, like cafes and like Rogan Rascal and obviously Sound City and Lincoln. So many great places to play, so much a diversity of music, which this city's always had.
And the live music isn't stopping there, with venues to host more live shows through the Guitars in Bars Festival later this week. Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
A group of young dancers from the Upper Spencer Gulf have been given the opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to perform at Disneyland. They will head to the US for a series of performances and workshops.
From the doors of the local calisthenics club to the picturesque backdrop of Disneyland, California, a local dance group is taking their performance to the international stage.
It's a showcase of all dancers from around South Australia, and we get to participate in workshops and performances.
The group will be flying 9 dancers over to Disneyland to perform, as well as dancers from Hip Hop Bounce in Port Pirie.
So we have to put together a 8 to 10 minute routine, and we'll be showcasing our favourite genres, which are contemporary, lyrical, jazz and acrobatics.
These dancers have 6 months to get their routine in check, holding their first practice on the weekend. And things are looking positive. In just hours, they've already learnt half of one dance.
It's looking awesome, so I think by December it'll look pretty good.
Many girls are relishing the opportunity to perform at the dream venue of every young kid.
I was so excited I started crying. We can't imagine how amazing it's going to be.
41 dancers from Dance Explosions will also travel to the Gold Coast in August to match their moves against the country's best.
In 6 months we weren't expecting to go to Queensland and then America, so I'm extremely proud of all my dancers.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Students and teachers from a Broken Hill High School have been very busy rehearsing for an upcoming musical. They've taken the much-loved animated children's movie Shrek and adapted it for the stage.
A musical take on an animated classic.
High School, along with Theatre 44, have been rehearsing over the last term to put on Shrek the Musical.
Shrek the Musical takes the events of the first Shrek movie and turns them into a fun-filled performance. The cast is made up of kids as young as 7 years old, to teachers also jumping in for roles as well.
It's appropriate for all age groups, and it's lots of fun with singing and dancing and costumes of all the characters that everyone knows and loves, fairy tale creatures, and it's a love story.
Rehearsals were ramped up over the school holidays as opening night fast approaches. Miss Harris says the young actors and actresses have really come into their own after being a bit nervous when production first started.
The improvement throughout the last term has been enormous. So some of them at the beginning were a little bit shy and we're kind of getting them out of their comfort zones. But yeah, they're doing a really good job.
Shrek the Musical will premiere this Sunday at Theatre 44.
At 2 p.m. and then there's the weekend after, August 4th and 5th. So Saturday the 4th is a 7:30 performance and Sunday the 5th of August is again 2 o'clock.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll have the region's footy results.
And it looks like the wet conditions could be settling in this week. I'll have all the details up soon.
Welcome back to local footy now, and South have continued their undefeated season in Broken Hill with a strong win over Central on Saturday. Patrick Reinke joins me now from Memorial Oval, and it was the red and white who kicked away in the second half, Pat.
Yeah, that's right, Abby. Central stuck with the reigning premiers across the first 2 quarters but couldn't keep up after the halftime break. South showed why they're the premiership favourites once again, downing the Magpies by 74 points. The game started slow with just 3 goals in the opening quarter. Central looked to be matching it with the Roos, having more shots on goal but just not being able to convert. South looked damaging through midfield with the likes of Mark Purcell and Jordan Johns. For Central, it was Jalen Wingfield and Mick Anderson leading by example. A special mention must go to Jason Masclett for this attempted specky late in the game. Remarkably, no free kick was given. South led by only 17 at the main break, with Central still in with a sniff. But as the Roos have done time and time again, they came out in the third quarter and put the Magpies to the sword. The red and white tagged on 10 goals across the next 2 quarters, Central only managing to snag a couple in return. Cody Shawn was on song for South. He finished with 8 sausage rolls to his name. When the final siren sounded, South stood as the 12-goal victors. In the other game, a gutsy performance from West was not enough to topple a woefully inaccurate North, the Bulldogs getting home by 63. Heading to Port Lincoln now, when both Wayback and Marble Range remain tied for first spot on the ladder after recording wins. The two sides will meet this weekend in a game that should not be missed. In the third matchup, Tasman had it easy over Lincoln South. In the Spencer Golf League, Port thumped West Augusta, South Augusta recorded their 12th straight win, and Prop Risdon down Central. To Whyalla, where it was wins to West, Central and North. In the northern areas, Crystal Brook beat Orroroo in a high-scoring game. Broughton Mundura and Southern Flinders also picked up wins. And finally, in the Great Flinders League, Lock couldn't do enough in their match. Tumby Bay just got over Ramblers, and Ayr United fell short against United Yeelanna. So, Abby, that does it for another huge weekend of local footy.
Thanks, Pat. And time now for the weather with Amy.
Thanks, Abby. A wet day around the region, however, maximums did sit up towards the low 20s in some parts. Port Augusta and Whyalla seeing a top of 21, 19 degrees for Port Pirie. On the satellite, and skies are clearer in the north with a broad high pressure ridge which is leading to chilly mornings. If you're out on the waters tomorrow, westerly winds will shift northwesterly up to 25 knots with seas reaching up to 3 metres. For those up early enough to catch sunrise, that will be at 7:19 while sunset is at 5:33. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, and some districts will see fine conditions. Sunny and 21 tomorrow in Port Augusta, Whyalla sitting a degree or so cooler. Showers predicted for Port Lincoln and 17 degrees. Showers will settle in Port Lincoln for the rest of the week, Friday reaching 16 degrees. Cleve could also see some wet weather, as will Woodner with the top of 18 to close out the week. Whyalla could be settling into some rain towards the end of the week, however temperatures will reach 21 on Thursday. Showers and 17 in Port Augusta for Friday. Meanwhile, maximums in Kadina will sit in the mid-teens. In Port Pirie, after hitting 20 degrees on Thursday, temperatures are going to drop. Clare will only reach 13 on Friday with predicted showers. And in Broken Hill, possible showers for Thursday, but they will clear for a mostly fine 15. So, Abby, hopefully we do see some of that much needed rain.
Thanks, Amy. Fingers crossed. And that's the local news this Monday. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.